Hello everyone, this is a new opportunity to speak about something which is interesting for all of us, a little bit out of my range of expertise, certainly the expertise of CIRO. But before we even start, let me give my tribute and thank you to the structure that is hosting us, which is Imago, of Giorgio Amendola, who's a professional of years and decades, I should say, of experience in the photography and reportage business. So today we're going to talk with CIRO about Italy welcoming high net worth income people with a possibility to have an opportunity, an incentive, a way, I would say, to tax plan their incomes, savings, and perhaps even to find a better way to, I don't know, live the third, fourth part of their career lives, whatever it helps. I know a lot of US residents and even non-naturally US residents that are inclined to consider Italy as a place where to live. But obviously, as in many cases, the gibberish law, the complexity of the law makes it so that perhaps this is an opportunity to understand the requirements, the opportunities, the procedures. So let's get right into it. In CIRO, I have on my first slide four concepts that you may want to explain, please.
Yeah. So good evening to everyone. I'm Ciro Sera, I'm a tax lawyer. So I usually deal with the audiovisual sector, but I also helped and assisted some directors and actors to come to Italy. Italy is welcoming high net worth individual to stay here with the beautiful of Italy. And I want to introduce to you the patriati regime that is for employment, self-employment income, and the flat tax. The flat tax is for people, for foreign residents having a high network abroad. Matter of fact, they will pay a very low tax in Italy, and they will avoid the taxation on their worldwide income. Instrumental to this regime is the fact that Italy, for inheritance and gift tax, is a tax haven. We have a very low inheritance tax for your heirs or for your spouses.
And this is very unusual in the general belief, because we as Italian residents feel the great weight of the Italian taxes, so we don't transpose this feeling to foreigners who may consider moving to Italy for tax reasons.
Yes. Going to the Impatriati regime. Impatriati regime is a new regime for employment, self-employment income. And from 2024, you can get an abatement of your taxable income of 50%. So your tax base will be consistently reduced. And considering that Italy is worldwide known as an high taxation regime, so this is a very incentive regime for very specialized employees or self-employees that want to come to Italy, or they want to be the directors of an Italian company, and it lasts 5 years, and it is aimed to people residing abroad for at least 3 years. It relates to these kind of people, and most of them, especially for the financial sectors, especially who was living in London in the financial sector, in the financial area, are coming to Italy for this regime.
Let me try and walk through the various explanations that you are giving us. A classical, real opportunity. I have a client who is a manager for artists and talents.
Yes.
She has Italian origins, or perhaps her ancestors, parents or grandparents are Italian, and she wants to, by all means, move to Italy for nostalgic reasons, but obviously this would be something added.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in this case, it depends on the case-by-case scenario. So if you have a consistent income abroad, the best regime is the flat tax regime. Flat tax regime means you can pay 200,000 euro per year, and you will not tax any kind of foreign taxation in Italy. You know that any kind of tax regime, such as US regime, Italian regime, UK regime, adopt the worldwide taxation. So you are taxed on all the income that is gained worldwide. But in this case, Italy, the Italian tax administration does not tax your foreign income. So in this case, if you have a consistent foreign income, you can avoid the Italian taxation on this foreign income, and you will be taxed only on the income gained in Italy. You are taxed in the country where you are tax resident. So if you
so residency
yes,
is a criteria.
Yeah, tax residency. If you join the tax residence of Italy, so
for example, you open partita IVA, codice fiscale, and you start paying.
Yes, you are resident. You registered within the Italian population.
Right.
You must have the Italian domicile, such as the center of vital interest in Italy.
Right.
So you can bring your family with you. In this case, you will be taxed only on the Italian income and not on the income gained overseas, such as capital gains, very important. Because for capital gains, according to most of the tax treaties, you are taxed in the country where you have the tax residence. So in this case, you will not taxed in the country where the capital gain is realized, and you will not tax in Italy. So as a matter of fact, your capital gain will be tax exempt.
So Ciro, let me make things more interesting. I hope not too complicated for you. Let's say I have a client, or you have a client who has an American resident with high net worth income as a personal individual, but also as a company. And he's facing the choice whether to move a company into Italy as a firm establishment, or to incorporate a new company in Italy, where to, for example, transfer all the IP, produce films, and then eventually even move there as a residency. Can you sort of break this down into...
Yeah. In this case, if you incorporate a company in Italy, you can be the director of the company. In this case, you can join the impatriati regime. So you will be taxed on 50% of your income or your director fees. But in any case, we have a limit.
But he still is getting taxed back home as a personal individual, right?
No, because if you have the tax resident in Italy, you will be taxed only in Italy.
Oh, he has to move his residency. Okay.
And then you can join the impatriati regime and have this abatement of 50% as director of the company.
Okay. And what about, this is easy for you to answer, what about transferring the company to Italy as a firm establishment, or open a subsidiary?
Yeah, in this case, the company is taxed at, with the normally corporation tax rate of 24%. This is in any case lower than the US.
What are the requirements for the impatriati regime?
The main requirement is to have the residence in Italy for 5 years, and then you can get this regime for 5 years. And the other
continuously, or can you go back?
Continuously, And,
so you can't go back, for example, and have Christmas back home?
No. Yes, of course, but the majority of your income and of your activity, working activity, must be done in Italy.
Okay, just to be really practical, if a year is 365 days, you have to have the majority of those days consistently in Italy, right? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are the risks involved in doing the impatriati regime?
So, as a matter of fact, so Italy is not easier as law and as process, and the various process, especially for taxation. There are a lot of risks, a lot of conditions. So, my suggestion is before to join with this regime is to involve an Italian professional and to have a prior negotiation with tax authorities in order to be sure.
To test and see if you're eligible. And okay, very wise.
With regard to the flat tax, as I told you before, is a regime for high net worth individuals that want to come to Italy and to buy a home and to stay here. And the main advantage is to have a flat taxation of 200,000 euro for all the foreign income. So if you gain, let me say, 20 million of euros abroad, in any case it will be taxed only with 200,000.
So it's a forfeited adjustment.
Yes, a flat tax. Irrespective of the amount of the foreign income.
And you gain that there's no fiscal control, there's nothing, because
no, absolutely.
The government knows that you're paying that fixed rate,
absolutely.
And they're happy.
Of course, also in this case, it is advisable to have a prior negotiation with tax authorities or to have a ruling from them in order to be sure that you will reach all the requirements for this regime.
Okay, so what are
you can bring your families with you, and for each member of your family, you can pay 25,000 euro to have this regime also for them.
Oh, okay.
It's a family regime.
Okay. So the requirements, Ciro, which are the requirements that need to be met?
Not to be resident in Italy for the 9 years prior to the application of this regime.
Aha.
So you must be a real foreign resident.
You can be a tourist, but not have been for the 9 prior years as a
resident of Italy.
Right. Okay.
And the duration of this regime is 15 years. You can have this regime for 15 years.
What happens after 15 years?
Ordinary taxation.
Ordinary taxation. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so we're talking about the requirements. As you said, the requirements is just residency.
Yeah.
And what are the risks involved?
The risk is that also in this case, all the requirements must be negotiated with tax authorities.
With the authorities, okay.
So my suggestion is to have a prior negotiation with tax authorities, or the better scenario is to have a ruling from them.
Okay, let's play this in practical. If the client or the potential filing applicant lives in Los Angeles, does he go where? To the Italian consulate, or does he call a professional like you?
A professional like me, and we can have meetings with the Italian tax authorities.
Yes.
And then we can have a ruling from them.
Okay, which is official.
It's an official document from the Italian tax authority saying that Mr. Alberto Gallotti is eligible for this regime, and the only taxation that he will pay in the next 15 years is 200,000
A very quick question. What would be the immediate comparison to staying in Los Angeles, for example? What is the great advantage?
It's a very big advantage, because
but it's worth saying.
Your Los Angeles, if your American income is, let me say, you have an income of 20 million, you will pay 50% of taxation.
Wow.
In Italy, only 200,000 euros.
Guys.
It's nothing.
Come on, huh? In my slide, we wrote who pays.
So the beneficiary is the net worth individual.
Right.
And he pays for him and for all the family.
And all the family, okay.
Yeah. And he submits an ordinary tax return where there is an election for this regime, and then he will pay this flat tax to the Italian. The main question that these guys ask to me is, what about my heirs and my equity when I will dead?
When I'll be dead, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
as a matter of fact, Italy is a tax haven for inheritance tax.
is the answer you just gave conditioned by the fact if the heirs acquire Italian citizenship or residency or not?
Yeah, yes. The flat tax regime says that the foreign people coming to Italy and joining with the regime will not pay any inheritance tax on the assets located abroad. They will be totally exempt. And with regard to the Italian assets, because they can
buy houses,
or they can incorporate a company,
right?
They will have some stocks and so on.
That will be naturally subject to the Italian taxation.
Yes, but a very low rate, because their heirs will be tax exempt up to 1 million euros. Their descendants, their sons, their spouse will be tax exempt up to 1 million euro. And on the balance, let me say, if they will succeed in an amount of assets higher than 1 million euros, on the excess of 1 million euros, they will pay only 4%. That is nothing.
Let me give you another example, which may be a case history, and I cannot say names. Let's say there's a famous photographer in Los Angeles who's obviously paying a huge amount of taxes. He's in love with Italy, and he's very remotely considering why not to come and move to Italy, either for residency or with the company. What would you suggest?
For residency.
Foreign residency?
Yes.
Because he will stop paying half of his income in taxes, and only a flat tax, and live as a king.
You will pay
at least live as a king for 15 years.
You will pay only 200,000 euro as flat tax on all the foreign incomes, of capital gains, on the stock option and so on. Your descendant, your spouse, will not pay any inheritance tax, only 4%. It's nothing.
This is incredible. So, and let me ask you this, just to be totally clear. What will the inland revenue of the United States or other countries do applying their own internal rules?
They will pay only inheritance tax for the assets located abroad, but they will pay to the U.S.
To the
U.S. authorities. But they will not pay any tax in Italy.
Because real estate, correct me if I'm wrong, is always subject to the land jurisprudence.
Yeah, because
right?
you know that many of the foreign countries ask inheritance tax for the asset located in their country.
Right.
But in Italy, you will pay any kind of
But let me complicate things even more. Let's say that the American that acquires residency in Italy goes for the inheritance or the residency tax, buys a real estate, and then puts the real estate into revenue, like hotel. What about that income?
Okay, this is a business income, the revenue of the hotel.
Right.
And it is not incented by the flat tax, though they will pay 24%.
And it cannot not be an Italian business.
Yes, in case they will not pay any kind of tax in Italy, because if you join the flat tax regime, so the income gained abroad is totally exempt.
Great.
Yes.
Tell us about trusts. Which is very, very interesting because a lot of Swiss attorneys try to promote the trust.
And we have also Italian trust treatment that is the same. So in case of trust, the trust will be subject to the same flat tax regime. So in any case, the allocation of these assets, the foreign asset to the trust will be totally exempt from the inheritance and gift tax. And in case of Italian assets, the heirs, the beneficiary of trust, will be subject to the assets, to the inheritance tax for the asset located in Italy at the very incentive rate. It is nothing up to 1 million euro, because up to 1 million euro the beneficiary will be exempt. And in the excess
of 1 million
assets of 1 million euro, they will pay only 4%. If they are spouses or descendants.
And because there's so much competition in trust in Europe, is this regime competitive with Switzerland, Spain, Andorra?
This regime is not competitive with the regime of little countries such as Malta, Cyprus, where trust income is totally exempt. but it's very competitive compared to Spain, to France, to Germany, that are the other higher tax regime.
Great, great. Just to remind everyone, the trust is an institution to protect the heirs from the ongoing business of the institution founder.
And we have a segregation of the assets allocated to the trust from the...
Sure. Can you give us simply a general outlook on the procedure and timing?
So the process to get the Italian visas and the residence is very simple. This process has been accelerated, and you can come to Italy in a very short time, and you can bring your family with you, and all the process is very simplified. Well,
Ciro, I can only thank you for this great
thank you to you.
Little pill of savvy consultancy. Obviously, it's much more, I wouldn't say complicated, but a more into-depth understanding, which requires obviously a diligent professional to guide you through. And I look forward to our next meeting. And I'll take again the opportunity to thank our hosts, Imago and Giorgio Amendola, for hosting us in this great opportunity.
So thank you, Giorgio. Bye-bye.